Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you are on the planet. My name is Sonal Asgotraa, and I am going to talk about Astrostays. It's a community led astrotourism model that creates sustainable livelihoods for remote and rural communities. Before I take you on this journey of how Astrostays started, what is the vision, and how are we planning to implement it in geographies that have the powerful resource of dark skies, I would like to set a little bit of context by talking about the current astrotourism scenario. From the textbook definition of tourism that involves the night sky or visiting facilities which are related to astronomy, such as observatories, to sustainable and environment friendly tourism that leverages the natural resource of clear dark skies, the concept of astrotourism has expanded and evolved significantly over the years. The New World Atlas of Artificial Sky Brightness has found that more than 80% of the world's population live under the light polluted sky, for whom the night sky is synonymous only with a few bright stars and planets. This opens up new and very unique opportunities for destinations that have access to clear and diaphanous night skies that can capitalize on this natural asset for attracting visitors and stimulating tourism. We all know that the best vantage points on our universe are usually remote. However, despite seeing a strong growth in recent years, astrotourism has not been able to benefit the local or indigenous communities that reside in or around these remote places from the visitor economies. As nature based tourism emerges strongly in a post COVID world, astrotourism presents immense opportunities to create positive social, economic, and conservation benefits. One of the key elements that astrotourism embodies is the fact that it's one of the most authentic forms of sustainable and responsible travel. COVID 19 has brought in a seismic shift in people's awareness of environmental impact of mass tourism. Dark skies don't require any maintenance and development and can be enjoyed even with naked eye. So, being one of the most authentic and low impact forms of nature based tourism, it has minimal impact on the environment. Till today, in the current astrotourism models, local communities have been significantly absent from the impact value chain, due to which the socio-economic impact of astrotourism on these areas has been very limited. Astrotourism has the potential to economically empower these remote communities that are already marginalized from heavy tourist centers and mass tourism. And thus began the concept of Astrostays. In 2018, we collaborated with the Office of Astronomy for Development to create a unique community led astrotourism model where community sits at the heart and center of this entire model. Uh, a bit of context on our organization. Global Himalayan Expedition works in the Indian part of Himalayas, uh, in the areas of providing energy access and creating holistic development models for remote and rural communities. Till now, we've electrified 130 villages, impacted 60,000 lives, and offset almost 8,700 tons of carbon dioxide. To give you a context of the geography that we work in Himalayas. It's a long range that starts from Afghanistan in the west, extends to Pakistan, and then India, Nepal, Bhutan, and then finally ends in Myanmar. And we work in the Indian part of the Himalayas. It's home to over 50 million people, with more than 450 million settled at the base. And despite being one of the most fragile ecosystem on Earth, it's surrounded by a lot of problems, which includes lack of electricity, education, and basically access to sustainable monetary incomes. However, this area has been part of the old Silk Route and still has centuries old culture and heritage, which the people are really proud of and preserve till today. But one of the greatest assets that Himalayas has and that we wanted to explore was the clear night skies. I think we were just fortunate that we were working in an area that had such a powerful resource and we wanted to leverage it. But we wanted to leverage it in a way that also involved benefiting communities directly. So, as a first step, we identified around 35 people from 15 very remote villages of Ladakh and trained them in a 3-day astronomy workshop where they were trained in basics of astronomy and how and know-how of using Dobsonian telescopes. The gamut of people that we were working with in this workshop range from people who had never gone to school to people who were high school dropouts to somebody who was just going to college. So the way we started was, and astronomy in itself is a very daunting word. So in order to demystify and break it down to them, we began with the indigenous folklores and started to explore the connections that all these participants and their ancestors had with the sky. Every culture in this world, be it the Aborigines or the Mayans or people from the Indus Valley civilization, have always had a heritage where they have a relationship with the skies in terms of harvesting or seasons. And many other things. So we started with that, and then started to link it with the modern science, which helped to break it down and made it a little easier, for everybody to comprehend it in a way that it did not appear daunting to them, and thus began Astrostays. We are also working closely because it's a very community centric model. We are working with uh, the UN SDG goals as well. Women empowerment is one of the strongest areas that we are working with. In Himalayas specifically, because tourism is the major engine of economic growth. What happens is that most of the male members, they leave their homes in the summers, when the tourist season is at its peak, to work as guides or porters or just as drivers, and it's essentially the women who stay behind, running these homestays. So most of the Astrostays that we have implemented, most of them are driven by women teams. It is also, sustainable tourism has multi-stakeholder approach and has significantly helped to boost local economy and livelihood creation. Um, the team is also empowered with latest gadgets. Here you see a picture of one of our team members, explaining tourists on, what are the expectations, basically setting the expectations of what they could see in the sky on that particular day. So they have been not just given a download of dry facts of this constellation and this star and planets, but how to build a story around it so that it also creates an engaging experience for the traveler. There are pictures from some of the astronomy sessions. On the top right corner, we have Mr. Rinchin, who is also the Mountain Partnership Brand Ambassador for the mountains. And as you can see that the place was buzzing with tourists, and we were working in an area which actually had very, very limited connectivity. So there was no way to kind of broadcast the information that Astrostays have been set up here. So we actually went very old school. We set up boards in all nearby places which the tourists usually flaunt, and put up these boards, basically giving them directions for Astrostays. And here are some of the pictures from these sessions. And this is how an Astrostay looks like. It's a very beautiful homestay which is immersed in the Ladakhi culture and tradition. And we call our astronomy team as astropreneurs. And this is a picture of one of our team members, Stanzin Dolkar, who's actually also the leader of the Astrostays team back in Ladakh, conducting some of the astronomy sessions. And this has been the impact so far. We have created almost 6 Astrostays to train 30 village women. And the revenue that was generated was almost to the tune of $3,200, engaging almost 670 travelers. And because we work in Ladakh, the window operation is quite small. We start from April and can extend maximum till mid of October, and the rest of the year is Ladakh is usually cut off from the mainland because of the snow that blocks the passes. So we started this program in June 2019, which is last year. And we had like 4 months to test the water and test this pilot. And this has been the impact in those 4 months. So to give you a little background and a small glimpse of how this model actually works, I'm going to play this video.
हमारा 4 लेडी लोग और मैं हम लोगों को एक टेलीस्कोप ऑपरेट करने की ट्रेनिंग दिए थे 3 दिन का था वो तो वहाँ पे हम लोग साइंटिस्ट लोग जो बेंगलोर से आया हुआ है तो वहाँ पे उन लोगों से मिलके उन लोगों से हम थोड़ा ज्ञान ले और टेलीस्कोप कैसे हैंडल करना है इस गांव में काफ़ी टूरिस्ट आता है तो टेलीस्कोप के ज़रिए हम उनको कुछ स्टार और कुछ प्लैनेट दिखा सकें
Lala si medjabda sala dola si tendu kwa jing di cinta tendari tendu kwa tang yong amin mui. Tiang res pa yang aja yong pa yong go. Yang di tong ring aja ceu pa.
Yeah. So this video was, shot during some of the sessions that we had, both in terms of training and the tourists coming in and basically explaining how the model actually works. And it always kind of tears me up because, we train them and come out, but, the astropreneurs, as we call them, are the ones who are deep in the trenches and at work at midnight. So it's usually freezing cold out there in the Himalayas, but they brave that cold. Coming out at 11 or 12, and even staying till 1 if there are more travelers and they want to see more things because they are so passionate about it. And I think the whole uh, I would say the whole reason that this model worked was because the communities wanted it to work, the people behind it wanted it to work. And I'm also very happy to report that the revenue that was generated from these Astrostays sessions is now being pumped back into the communities for development. So what you see on your screen is a solar water setup that was done in the same village where the Astrostay has been set up. And in times of COVID, we're washing hands and sanitation has become top priorities for everybody, and Ladakh anyways has huge scarcity of water, and really cold even if it is there. So this has actually helped the communities a lot. There's also greenhouses that are being set up from the revenue that's been generated. So, talking about the next steps, we always think that can Astrostays encourage design thinking, because it is not astronomy, it is astronomy and tourism. Can it be a model of, both astronomy and hospitality? Can it encourage models where both of these sectors combine and uh, you know, uh, talk about their best practices and share their best practices with each other to create a very unique model. Um, so we are now looking to replicate this model in geographies that have similar areas. So as a way forward, we are identifying potential communities around observatories, um, and also around places that have access to clear dark skies for setting astro stays, and also looking for astronomy experts for the training of the community members. So thank you very much, and I hope that you enjoyed this presentation. And we have implemented this model. It's actually been a labor of love and been a very very passionate effort by the team. And yeah, thank you very much again. And these are my coordinates. Thank you.